My name is Briget. And before I became a business analyst, I was first a banker. In fact, as I was preparing for this session this evening, I was counting the numbers. Don't worry if I tell you, it may give to tell you how old I am, but that's not the idea. But you won't even guess. At least some of you are looking at me now. But yes, I think I started banking exactly 25 years ago in March this year. So I have been a seasoned banker for many years before I moved into business analysis. And I think I became a business analyst, paid business analyst back in 2018. So I've been in the business analyst world for a little while as well now. Like Tolu mentioned about travel. So I do a few things because I came to a point and I've come to a point where I realized that some of us, our lifestyle can be very boring. I was one of such persons, right? All I just did was, okay, thank God that I'm married to a great guy. I got married. I have 3 great children. And I do church a lot. Actually, my husband and I will pastor a branch of Redeemed Church in Milton Keynes, where we live in the UK. So I have a lot of responsibility on my shoulder. But it's like I just had that triangle: work, church, family, work, church, family, and barely had time for other things. But I'm sure COVID pushed, like many people, COVID pushed a lot of us into discovering other things that perhaps God created us for. And so travel is one way I express myself as well. I love to travel. I just got back, I was telling you, I just got back from a trip I was in Washington, D.C. I flew back in first thing on Wednesday morning, was it? Yeah, I was there for about a week. So I love to travel and I do it alongside all the other things that I do. And yes, like I was saying, I've been in the banking industry 25 years ago in March this year. So I know a thing or two. So I worked in a bank back in Africa before I moved to the UK. And yeah, a year in the UK, I've worked in banking. And I'm glad Tolu mentioned something about mortgage because coincidentally, by the grace of God, I'm resuming a new role with a specialist mortgage organization later this month. So yes, so mortgage will be something that maybe you might find me talking about very shortly soon because I'm moving fully into that space again in the capacity of what I do with all the things I do on the corporate side of the corporate world. So yes, it's always interesting to talk about finances. I remember when I first started banking back many years ago now, and I worked in a very ethical bank. For those of us that are from Nigeria, I worked in EcoBank. And EcoBank is a very ethical bank. It was a very ethical bank and it still is an ethical bank. And I remember when the credit card was first introduced, I think that was back in 2000 and I can't remember now, 2005, 6, 7 or so, I think. And we were all made as employees of the organization. We're all compelled, we're mandated to have a credit card because we will be selling the product. And so the bank wanted to make sure that we use that. I was so afraid. I refused to take, but when I saw that it was going to impact my job because they said, if you don't take it, you can lose your job. You know the way they do things in Nigeria. So I had to take a credit card, but I was so afraid, right? I never used it. I just applied for it. I got the limits as a staff setting my account and my credit account. Then in fact, I think I went to hide the credit card somewhere. I never used it. And because why didn't I use it? Because obviously because I didn't know better. And again, you know, as church people, when we hear a lot of things from the church, we take it, we swallow it hook, line, and sinker without asking questions. So those are some of the things that we do as church people back in, I don't know about where you come from, but where we come from in Nigeria, we just take it. And so some of these were told, they say, oh, you can't use credit, you have to. But here in this part of the world, if you understand the power of credit, there's so much you can do. The Trumps of this world that you look at, that they call them billionaire, my dear, they use credit to do amazing things. And that's part of what we are going to be scratching on tonight here. And we want to be talking about credit. I will be looking at it for a couple of perspectives, but we are looking at building credit like a pro. That's what Tolu and I decided to call the session. So permit us if you find a better name for it, but let's just say building credit like a pro. I know we are IT professionals, so we are here IT professionals. Okay. I've acknowledged Tolu. The aim of this workshop is to put a few things there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Understand credit and its importance, whether it's personal, and by virtue of that, onto business credit in attaining financial independence. Now, I've heard that word financial independence thrown here or there at different times, but you can do a lot with credit to attain financial independence sooner rather than later. I was reading The Psychology of Money today. Is a book. I'm not sure how many of us know, but psychology. I will highly recommend it because we need to do things. In fact, yesterday I stumbled on a ONS study, right? ONS is called, what's the ONS again? Organization of this country, statistics, forgotten ONS, but it's the statistics body of United Kingdom, right? And it was talking about, as Black people, right, that only about 20% of us owns our home outright. I'm not talking about rent now, that they've taken a mortgage and they've paid the mortgage out and they own the home. Say is about 20% of Black people compared to Caucasians, that is about 68%. Now that's a huge margin. But I know that we have the first argument you and I will bring up, we say, now old age now will take migrate come UK, right? Rightly so. However, even in the BAME community, the Black and minority ethnic community, if we are still allowed to call it that, you still find some other minority ethnic groups that are doing well in terms of owning their properties. Unfortunately, we have a long way to go as Black people. Yes, so those are some of the things that we think that we are coming out here as a crusade to educate ourselves, that perhaps you and I can change that statistics, right? So it's to understand credit. The aim of the workshop, to understand credit is important, whether be it in personal first before you export it into your business, but you can use that to attain financial independence sooner rather than later. Then to whet our appetites, that provide talking points for credit or credit-related topics and issues, and then to be credit-worthy or to be credit-ready. What does it mean? What does it require? And then I have that 4-point. I put asterisk there because I'm not sure how much time will allow us to talk about it, but it talks about building credit using AI. I think that may be something I may be able to offer for some of us one-on-one, on a one-on-one basis, based on time. Please, somebody should nudge me based on time because I can't even see anything now. My screen is well occupied with what I'm talking about, but I think I'm trying to, let me manage that. Okay, so at least I can see my clocks. So, sir, Ogatolu, how much time do I have? I didn't ask that.
So we normally do this for 2 hours, so 8 to 10.
That's fine. Thank you. Okay, we won't use the 2 hours. Maximum 9:15 we should be done. But I will not speak up tonight, but that's because I will expect us to discuss. Please don't feel shy. I'm one of you. I'm one of us. I'm still learning as well. So feel free to interact when that time comes. Right. Okay. So I'll go on to the next slide. Disclaimer. So the information I'm providing in this session is for educational and informational purposes only. It's not to be taken as financial advice and should not be considered a recommendation to buy, sell, or invest in any financial products. And please do seek qualified financial professional before making any financial decisions. And I will say that to you. However, I remember that, in fact, I love the US, traveling to the US for the number of times that I won't travel this year. I find out that in that area, people are very culturally rich and historically rich. They know their history as well. And so they are very familiar with passing knowledge onto one another in an informal way. I'm talking because of this third point that I just read. That's why I'm digressing and saying what I'm saying. Now, in Nigeria, we have the people from Western Nigeria. They call them the Igbo culture. They have this thing they call a culture where you go and learn as an apprentice. Now, it is not a formal kind of education, it's an informal kind of education. However, when that boy, now they even act it on movies, when the boy goes to learn with his master, he stays with him for X number of years. And after he has stayed with him, learns the trick of the trade, he knows how to do it, right? And then the master establishes him. What it does, what that formula or framework of business modeling does is that it creates among the Igbo people, the Easterners of Nigeria, a sense of community whereby you see that their economic power is within themselves. And so if I have a product that I'm selling, right, assuming that I now get somebody that is my boy, works with me for the number of years, right, he wants to buy something, before he goes somewhere else, he will come and buy from me. So they have the economic power. And Very funnily, though, again, I've started looking at trends of people that I've met in my circle in the last 3-4 years. I belong to a lot of some mastermind groups because I was yearning to learn, right? The way things, remember I told you about my story about not knowing how credit work. Oh, by the way, I took that credit card, I hid it, and eventually I lost it. So I never used it, right? But I could have done a lot of things with it, not for consumer spending, but for business things. But maybe I'll come to that if time permits us. But these informal ways of us passing knowledge onto like ourselves, like what I'm doing here, within our communities, can actually empower us. So even though I'm saying to you that please seek qualified financial professional before making any financial decision. You and I know the reason why I'm saying that, because when the chips are down, I have told you that. However, I can tell you for free, right, that I have some information that if you go and meet the financial advisor out there, you'll be paying him heavily to learn it. Boy, I will share it with you for free. So what I'm saying in a nutshell, my friends, right, and colleagues, is that please, let's not despise the knowledge we have amongst ourselves, because a few of us know stuff. So let's harness the power of knowledge in our community, because knowledge, like we know, when applied well, is power. They said knowledge is not power, it's knowledge that is applied well that is power. Okay. So I move on to the next slide. So why does your credit profile matter as an IT professional? You and we work in IT. I've worked in IT now since 2018 until I'm just moving on to this new role later in this month, like I said to you. But again, it's a fintech. So financial services, specialist mortgage lenders, they provide mortgages for people that maybe high street banks will not give you mortgages for obvious reasons, for various reasons. And maybe some of those things we'll touch on here. So why does your credit profile matter, especially as IT professionals? You know, we earn good money, right? IT is the new, tech is the new oil. We earn good money from IT. We build systems. I know Tolu works in consultancy, for instance, and so he offers consultancy services as the Scrum Master for the things that he does. They go and offer professional IT services to organizations that may not be able to fund it in-house, and so we do all these kinds of things. And so we build systems. Business analysts, we work with IT to design systems, software, SDLC, all the things that we do within that space, right? As BAs, as data analysts, as Scrum Masters, as project managers. We build systems with our skills, right? But our credit is what builds us wealth. And so I think you will agree with me if I say, we don't just want to be building a system, we want to also be building wealth, innit? We want to be building wealth. And so please say yeah if you are with me, or you agree with me if you think what I'm saying makes sense, that our skills build systems. Thank you. Our skills build systems, but it's your credit that builds you wealth, right? So you don't want to just be using all your skill to be building system, and then they ask you at the end of the year, how much have you saved this year, or how much have you been able to put together, or how much have you been able to put towards the mortgage that you want, and you don't have anything to show for it. That's not the kind of life we want to live, and that's why we are here learning tonight. Also, our high income potential equals high credit worthiness. I put that there as a question. Is that really true? Does our high income potential equals high credit worthiness? Is that true? Is a question I'm throwing to us. Do we think that is true?
I think it's no.
Sorry?
No, not necessarily. No.
No, exactly. So it's two different things. So the fact that we are earning 6 figures, 120,000 pounds a month, thank God for people that are earning such money. I have a friend that earns 125,000 pounds per annum, right? That does not mean high credit worthiness. And so you can be earning 125,000 pounds per annum, right? And your fellow Caucasian neighbor that is earning 36,000 pounds per annum walks into the same bank with you, and then he comes out with a mortgage of 3.9%, and you are getting a mortgage of 7.5%. Hello? So you are paying double what he's paying. And maybe you will not even know, Seth, you know, as a typical black man now, might just even brag out of the place with our big cars, you know, the cars that we were able to get on finance. We just brag out. But that person, he's not earning that much. But you see him, he's going on holiday 4 times a year, right? Today is in Spain, tomorrow is in US, next tomorrow is gone to Turkey, the other day is in Dubai, and he's living life, right? high income potential does not equal high credit worthiness. And so we want to be able to correct that to make it such that even if we're earning well, we are credit worthy as well. Credit is your financial CV. It affects everything from your mortgages to mobile phones, everything in between. So think of it from a mortgage to mobile phone, even the cars that we're talking about, you know, car company, they will give, even if your credit is not great, they will give you finance for a car. They do things, but what it means is that they will make more money off you. So it's your money, it's the money that they are making off of you that they will use to compensate for the person that has good credit, right? We don't want to always be that guinea pig. We want to be able to get the best rates out there. Okay, so what is credit? What's the credit profile? So it's a record of how you manage your borrowing. So unlike the place where a lot of us come from back home in Africa, Nigeria. So even though 20 years ago or more, I was opportune to have a credit card from my bank. I was working in EcoBank at the time. Quite honestly, I don't think they did any credit check for me then. No, there wasn't any credit check that was done. The bank just launched a credit card. I was a staff and they said, "Da, you come and take so that you'll be able to taste it." Oh, by the way, one of the reasons why I refused to take the credit card, we used the credit card apart from what we were told in church, right? One of the reasons why I refused was because when my EDs and my MDs sat down, right, to educate us about that credit card, one of the things they told us then was that we are praying that the people that take this credit card, I'm telling you the exact words, quote and unquote. He said, we are praying that people that take this credit card, that they will not be able to pay back. So for me, that was very alien and shocking for me. I said, why are you praying that prayer? But that's the same prayer the banks in the UK pray. They just pray that you should pay just the minimum balance, because they know that if you pay the minimum balance, right, they will be hitting you with all the interest, and you'll be the guinea pig for them to grow their wealth. So that was one of the things that scared me. But the reason why they said that, knowing now, is that because they know that that's the way they will make more money. If you pay minimum balance, you will just be paying a debt and you'll never finish paying. Okay, so a credit profile is a record of how you manage your borrowing. So there's a record, comprehensive record. I'm thankful that we all live in the UK where we know that everything that we do, Big Brother is watching you. They have a credit of it. I was telling Tolu, I got back on Monday. I was laughing. It's the first time in my life in this country. I've lived here for the better part of 2 decades now. I was over speeding on my street and the ticket came home and I got the ticket. So as I was talking to Tolu on Monday, I was looking at my ticket and I said, Jesus. But yes, that's the first time I've ever had that. Yeah, I got that ticket. So everything is on record. It's documented. So I have to deal with that, by the way. So UK credit reference agencies are basically these three that we have here: Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Our credit profile influences our mortgage approval. It influences your credit card rate. It influences your renting a flat, and sometimes your job applications. So, you know, I just mentioned to you now that I'm starting working in a new organization shortly. I was speaking to Experian today because it's that organization, financial services, right? Financial aid bank. They are doing critical credit checks. In fact, they employ the Experian to do that checks on me. And so I was providing them information for my employment history today. So there are some jobs that you cannot do if you don't have a good credit history. Just imagine that. I was very confident because I feel the things before I left, and by the time I came back, the first part has come to me. You know, that DBS thing. Is it DBS calling now? DBS, yes. That one has come. Obviously, I was confident to feel that because I know that I look after my health financially. Okay, so there are some jobs you can't do. They talk about security clearance, SC jobs. There are some of them that you can't do if you don't take care of your credit. So our credit line or our credit life in this country is very important, right? So it influences everything, even the kind of job you can do sometimes. Okay, so tech money, you know, we get tech money, right? High money, but we need to make smart moves. So whether you're a contract employee or a permanent one, lenders will assess your risk differently. So many IT professionals delay credit planning due to freelance income. And that's the truth, because some of us are getting the money. Money is just coming, right? We don't think it will stop someday. So we just delay the need for us to plan credit. Now, this second point about credit planning is a huge talking point, right? You and I can talk on just this point from now till whenever, because it involves how do you plan your income versus your expense. You are earning X amount. What is your outgoing? Some people don't even know what their monthly outgoing is. It's a number. If for me now, if I'm not working today and you say, okay, Bridget, I want to put, oh, by the way, I did that in 2023 when I decided to go back and do my master's. I decided to resign from my job. Why was I confident to resign from my job to finish a master's? Because I've crunched my numbers. I said, this is the amount of money I need monthly, right, to live. And they talk about this emergency fund, and I saw that I could live on what I've saved for 6 months. In fact, I knew very comfortably then I could actually live on it for 1 year. And so I decided to take a break, career break. I just resigned from my job. Yes, it was very stressful for me doing my master's, doing the dissertation, turning it in, and I resigned. Why? Because I knew my numbers. Right? In fact, I wasn't saying to myself, as some say, you see, I don't even want the stress of all this your BA. I just want to cool my head. I want a lower paying job. Why? Because I know my numbers. I know what my monthly expense is. In my sleep, if you wake me, I can tell you, say, okay, just give me this X amount of money in my account. Whilst I'm happy to go and be earning the £450 a day, £700 a day salary, I can still live. For those of us that are Christians here, the Bible tells us that I know how to abase and how to abound. So whether it is the £120,000 per annum salary or it is the £12,000 per annum salary, I know how to abase and I know how to abound. And I think as children of God as well, for those of us that are children of God here, whether you're a Christian, you're a Muslim, or you believe in God in one form or the other, right? We should be able to manage all sorts of situations, because sometimes I mean, Tolu, you bear me witness. We have got peers on this platform, right, that had good paying job. I know one or two that I can mention their names to you. Tolu and I knows that have been in this platform, and then the contract ended suddenly, and then for 6 months there was no contract. What will you do? So it's all part of your financial management, right? Okay, so remember I said we can talk on and on about that. It's very crucial, it's very important. Then high income without history is equals to decline in application. So no matter how much you are earning, if you don't have a good credit history, you are likely to be declining credit application. So you want access to capital for future ideas, properties, future business ideas, and that's where I'm going to now. Remember I talked about financial independence, personal credit, and then business credit. There's money you can access for business ventures, credits that you can access, but you need to have a good credit to be able to access that. And I'll be opening up a few slots to have one-on-ones with those of us that may be able to talk through options. There are things, I just playfully just picked up one application last year and I'm like, okay, oh really? And before I just pressed that, yeah, they say, oh, okay, say, yeah, we'll give you credit for this if you want, £15,000. And I'm like, oh, really? But I didn't do anything with it, right? But I have it. I still have the credit. I can still pick it up and do a business. I'm thinking of 1 or 2 business to jump into now. That, well, the money is there to fund those business ideas. But if you don't have a good credit history, you will likely not be able to go that far, okay? So if you want access to capital for future business ideas, for properties, for any kind of business you want to do, you are more likely to stand a chance if you have a good credit. So good credit history. So it's not just about making tech money. We need to learn smart moves. Say yes, yes, if you agree with me.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So pillars of a strong credit profile. So I have 6 of them there, right? I'll flick through them quickly. You need to have a good credit history lens. So start early. It doesn't matter. You can start now. You need to have a good payment history. Always, 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 always pay on time. I've come across a few people. One company that really messes people up, or 2 actually, 2 companies that messes people up without them knowing is 1, their phone company, and Anglian Water, or their water company. They don't ever, that water company one is just crazy how they mess up a lot of people that I've had to work with to try to help them build their credit history back. But thank God that there is hope. But please always pay on time. Then your credit utilization. always stay below 30% usage. Ideally, as a rule of thumb, they said it's 25%, but make sure it's always below 30% usage. I can provide more context if you want on that. Then credit mix, whether it's for cards, whether it's for loans, whether it's for overdrafts, have a mix of credits. It will make you have a strong credit profile. Then recent applications, too many applications. You don't want to make more than one application in every 6 months period. Maximum one in every 6 months period. So meaning that you shouldn't make more than 2 credit applications in any given year. Otherwise, it will mess up your credit. Then public records. You want to avoid CCJs. You want to avoid IVAs, etc. Involuntary, blah, blah. What was the IVA? CCJ. County court judgment is CCJ. Involuntary agreement or something for that IVA. Okay. Right. So building your credit from scratch. You can actually build your credit from scratch. Again, I work with people with a nominal fee to kind of help them build from scratch and even correct where it has gone wrong. So you want to start strong. So even without previous history or without any other history, you can actually build your credit from scratch. And I work with people to help them do that. You need to first register on the electoral roll. That's the first thing you need to do. You need to open a starter credit card, e.g. Aqua, Capital One. Then set up direct debits for your minimum payments on those cards if you ever open one up. Then use subscription services with credit reporting, e.g. Experian Boost or Lockbox. Now, I don't know how many of us have heard about Lockbox. I have my reservation about Lockbox. Yes, I've put it on here, but I have my reservation about it, and I will touch on it later. So for those of us that haven't heard about Lockbox, it's a kind of savings account, right? Where you open the account, you just say maybe you save £50 every month, and then you pay, I think it's £12.99 you pay a month. But what the savings account does for you is that although you are saving money, but you are paying for that account. So you are paying just like the way some people have some kind of account with NatWest, Halifax. You have different bank accounts that you pay money for monthly, right? I know it's not common from this part of the world, but because I've worked in a bank in Nigeria, I know that generally for your current account in banks in Nigeria, you pay COT, commission on turnover. And back then, it used to be maybe £5 for every £1,000 that you are withdrawing. You pay COT on your current account. Savings account, you don't pay, you get your interest generated and put your fixed deposit. Even though you get interest and get interest from your fixed deposit, but then they deduct tax from it when you get your fixed deposit interest. But for current accounts, you pay. So it's normal to pay for such checking accounts back in Nigeria, for those of us that are from there. However, here we don't pay generally for accounts, but for this Lockbox, which is why I have my reservation, you pay about that amount every month. And whilst it's great because it reports to the credit agency that you are saving that money every month, it helps you to build your credit. However, my own bias with it is, why should I pay? Again, I can ask those questions. I can say no to those things because I know other means of building my credit without having to pay, if that makes sense. Okay. Maintaining your credit health. So you need to be able to keep keep the score really high by monitoring your monthly monitoring, yeah, via Clear Score or Credit Karma. Now, I'm a huge fan of this Credit Karma. And again, I have a few slots open for those of us that may be interested. A 30-minute slot this week, you can reach out, DM me or something. Credit Karma is great. In fact, we are even doing a collective challenge on Credit Karma at the minute where we are growing our credits. Yes, we have a target to grow our credit by a certain number before the end of the year. And so DM me if you want to know a little bit more about that, because it's a challenge. And Credit Karma is for those of us that don't know, Credit Karma is a platform that allows you manage your credit rating and your credit history for free. Now, if you are using Experian, for those of us that know Experian, you pay a month. But Credit Karma is beautiful because you see, in fact, I even love Credit Karma so much because you see a combination of the 3 credit references agency in the UK. That's TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, right? Those are the 3 credit unions in the UK. Credit Karma combines your score across those 3 platforms for free. For me, that's a no-brainer, because anyway I can avoid spending money, I avoid it. So Credit Karma is I'm absolutely in love with Credit Karma. It's for free. I can build my credit. I can see any issues with my credit there without having to pay that monthly fee. So, I mean, yes, you might tell me that $12.99 is nothing to pay for Experian a month. $12.99 for Experian, or $14.99 a month, but that adds up. £15 a month at the end of every year, that's £180. You and I know that nobody gives you a farthing here unless you work for it. So if you can avoid paying, why not? So yes, so again, to keep your credit score high, you need to monitor your monthly monitoring via ClearScore or Credit Karma. I think like ClearScore is actually attached to my Halifax account, I think, but Credit Karma just comes on its own. Great platform, and I can teach you how to sign up in less than 10 steps. Okay, then use less than 30% of your credit limit to help maintain your credit health. You need to keep all the accounts open, which is one thing I have against that lockbox, because if you decide to stop paying the monthly amount for lockbox, whilst it has been great helping you to build your credit, right? When you close it, it drops your credit score. So that's why I'm not a fan of it. But if you don't mind paying forever, yes, you can have it. But I don't. Remember, I said I don't like paying. What I don't have to pay, I don't want to pay. Okay, so keep your hold accounts open. This is very key, because this really impacts your credit score and the age of your accounts. It shows lenders that you are credible. I have somebody that I'm trying to work with at this moment, and she moved into this country in 2023, and she's moved addresses 3 times already, and is about to move the 4th time. And I'm thinking, what is wrong with you? Because it's just, can you imagine something as simple like that you may not even think, but we looked at it and it's impacted her credit history, because it looks as if she's unstable. In fairness to her, though, it's nothing to do with her, well, in quote, because the first house she stayed, there was issues, and the landlord wasn't ready to fix, so they moved out. They moved into the second one. She has boys, and the area was not very good. But again, he's not listening to people, because I know that when they came in, we're trying to guide them on making the right decision and right choices. But sometimes when we come from Africa, we think we know everything. So we just kind of gave them, we told them, well, this is what we would do if we're in your shoes, because we know. But again, they made all those decisions. And now I'm working with them, is impacting our credit score. I'm like, yes, because lenders are looking at you that you are unstable. Why have you moved addresses, moving 4th address in under 2 years, just under 2 years? They just think you are unstable, and the lenders view you negatively for something as simple and seemingly innocent as that. So you keep your old accounts open, try to show stability in your decisions and things that it does. And this one is very important. Avoid joint accounts with people that have bad credit score. It impacts you big time. It impacts you. I know some of us may not know. So you want to go into a business venture with somebody and you are looking to open joint account with them and they have bad score. Please, before you do anything financially that will tie you financially to anybody, make sure you have information about them. It impacts you. Okay. So growing your profile over time from good to great. So you need to ask, you can ask for credit again. This is something that, you need to be responsible about it. I say that very cautiously. So you can actually ask for credit limit increases periodically, say from 6 to 12 months. You can ask for an increase in your credit. Of course, that is subject to you having a good credit. Then you can diversify your credit. So responsible car finance, personal loan, only when needed. Then by all means, avoid payday loans. They are seen as desperation, and credit companies does not like it. So in addition to avoiding payday loans, avoid drawing cash on a credit card that is given to you. Avoid that one by all means as well, because it negatively impacts your credit score. Also consider a second credit card for utilization spread. Again, you remember with the rule I said, as a rule of thumb, only apply for 2 credits in a year. So if you feel that you are overusing, you've used more than 30% of one credit card that you have, Again, these things is a sensible borrowing. You don't just go borrowing for consumer debts. Remember, we are saying we want to attain financial independence by virtue of the things that we are doing with our credit. So we don't want to go ahead borrowing carelessly and irresponsibly. So, but it's saying here you can consider a second credit card for utilization spread just to make sure that, and I'll tell you, there's a science behind it as well. Okay, when you begin to understand these things, you will that may make a bit more sense to you. Okay. So I have this case study here about a freelance IT contractor, right? So he's a project manager. Let's call him John. So John earned 90K per year, but was declined for a mortgage. You would think, what? Why would you earn such a money and you were declined for a mortgage? Remember what we said, that high income does not equal high credit worthiness. And this is the typical example. So the reason why John was declined because he had no active credit card. He missed updating his electoral role. He didn't bother. You know, the struggle is really where you come here. So it's like election, and with his experience of maybe he's coming from Nigeria where your election does not count. He doesn't bother to register on the electoral roll, and he just doesn't have any credit card. He just thinks that, oh, I've arrived now, I'm earning 90K, so I want to go and get a mortgage. But it shocked the guy, right? So steps he took to correct that: he opened 2 credit cards and he kept their usage below 20%. Then he used Logbox to save and report payments. Remember Logbox, I say. Logbox is great. Again, I've told you my bias against Logbox. Then 12 months later, it was approved with top tier rates. So imagine, so note that 12 months later, so it's a process of time. So but the time to start that process is now. Then mistakes to avoid: don't sabotage your own profile by making minimum payments only. Remember that prayer I told you that my EcoBank EDs and MDs were praying? Don't make only the minimum payments. It's not enough. Don't close old credit accounts. Remember why I said about this one, that this is my issue. This is the only issue I have with Lockbox, because if you can't stop paying that monthly money. If you want to stop, that means you have to close the account. And if you close the account, what does it do? It negatively impacts your credit score. And don't apply for too many products in a short time. So if you are expecting to take a mortgage in the next 6 or 9 months, we can start preparing you now. We can start giving you tips. This experience, there are algorithms. We can work the algorithms, just the way people work social media algorithms. We can work them. Then don't ignore mistakes on your credit reports. Challenge them, which is something I will teach you how to do if you reach out to me for us to have that quick discussion. Okay. So to act now, quick wins, things you can literally do this week to begin to help your credit. Go and check if you're on the electoral roll. You know, the hustle is real. When we first come here, we are hustling. We don't have time to register, to put ourselves on the electoral roll. Please, 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 you need to do that. Ring up your council, let them put you. They would have sent a letter to your address anyway, but you know that struggle of trying to find your foot in a new country. For those of us when we first move here, I'm assuming that we have a mix of us in these calls, but we can also learn for a friend and share with a friend. So register on the electoral roll, check your credit file. That we can do through Credit Karma. We don't have to pay. Experian gives you 1 month notice, 1 month trial, which is great. You can do the free trial and then don't pay, and then we can do the Credit Karma one. You can set up a credit builder card. You can automate your minimum payments so that at least you're making that minimum payment, so you don't genuinely forget. Remember those 2 companies I tell you that easily mess up, especially immigrants: your telephone company and water company. Somehow something about that water company just doesn't. They are very brutal. I don't know why. Energy company, they still have a way of dealing, but water, Anglian Water especially, Anglian Water has messed up a lot of people. I know a couple of people that have messed up. So use subscriptions that report to CRAs. CRAs are credit referencing agencies. Okay, so one of such subscriptions is obviously Lockbox. That's the simplest one, because Lockbox doesn't even need your credit profile for you to open an account. However, for credit cards that will report to CRAs, they will need your credit. They will need your credit profile to do so. So use subscriptions that report to CRAs. That will start building your credit for you immediately. And then credit building and AI. Remember, that was the 4th point in the aim of this session that I said to us. So I've got a couple of 30 minutes call this week. If you DM me, I can arrange a one-to-one call and we'll discuss your options. It's always good to see these things on a case-by-case basis. Now, I've given you the general information as it stands here, but there are things that you can do quickly, turn around now, that can help to repair your credit. But again, we need to see them on a one-on-one basis. There's no hard and fast rule to kind of generalize. So there's not much I can tell you, because we need to, there are some things that AI do for us, which is the beauty of AI, right? And I can share a few with you, a few tips, a few things, but then we need to see your individual circumstances in order to be able to make such suggestions or recommendations. Any questions?
Wow, that was short and sweet. Straight to the point.
Thank you, sir.
So, any question? So, I'll start from the back. You just give us flash. This AI is something. Can you just give us some insights on this thing? No, even though not everything, maybe on a general this thing. What are those things that AI can do for to help us build our credit?
Okay. So I mean, some of them, I already shared a few tips, right, regarding things that you can do to act now, right? I think one of the first things you can do is to try and get your credit report and see what it is saying in the first instance. So if it's a case where a company has already marked you down, you already have something to worry about, your credit rating is either poor, below fair, maybe by virtue of a missed payment. So the first thing you want to do is to download your credit report and see what it is saying. Now, together we can use AI, right, to literally help us work out what exactly it is. It can, for starters, we can use to get a nice draft of an email to send to the company requesting for them to take off that marker, because they mark you when you've missed the payment. We can look at your circumstances. Hence what I've said is more individualized. But on a general note, you can download that report. Using the information on that report, you can load onto AI, and it can help you draft communication for you to begin to engage with the organization, because it's only the organization that can take it off, right? But you need to be able to say the right things to them to get them to take it off in the first instance. So you need to be able to engage with them. I met a lady that I was working with sometime last year, and she was in very difficult circumstances with her children. She's a single mom of 3 children, and some things happened, really bad stuff happened to her, and she lost her job. And so in that period, of course, she was in survival mode. Sometimes when you get into such situations in this country, you kind of begin to get a bit more relaxed. Okay, the council was not trying to help her, so I think maybe she took it for granted and wasn't paying her water bill and was drawing rain with Anglian water. And before you know it, Anglian water smashed her, and she has a very poor credit rating. And so we are trying to build that. That was last year, October, that she and herself and I began to work on it. And yes, we're able to, in fact, then I didn't even know that we could actually use AI and use some wordings on ChatGPT to be able to do things for her. But we just came up with a few things, and then before you could say Jack, it was taken off, and that her credit began to rise from poor to satisfactory, and she's on the verge of good now. So those are some of the things on a general note that ChatGPT can do for you. And also, I got into a few things about, in fact, I'm still learning some of them actually on AI, and the things that you and I know. We thank God that we're in the tech world ourselves, and so we know that these things have come to stay. AI and the magic it's doing have come to stay. But I got into a few things about the things you can begin to build with AI, and the education, as in AI education platforms where you can access organized AI education. I think that's the word. And it's really interesting what you can get and what you can find. Does that answer your question, sir? So let me take a sip of water.
Yes, it does. Thank you. I think Kikaloma has a hand up.
Yes, go for it.
All right. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you so much, Briget. Thank you. In fact, I'm going to say, thank God you are here. I
Oh,
learned so much. Thank you so much. Thank
my
you.
joy, my
Thank you.
pleasure, Kike. Thank you.
Yeah. So I have a couple of questions
Go for it.
here. Not in a particular order. So I wrote here that okay, how do I also use Credit Karma, and
Yeah,
everything you said are true. I always get the reports and
yeah,
everything.
yeah.
Yeah, but I think I've not been utilizing it very well in the sense
Okay.
that when they send me reports,
Yeah,
they always send emails, different things. I go
yeah,
to my report and I'll be like, okay, I've seen they give me information about people that have done, organizations that have done soft search, the
yeah,
hard
yeah,
search
yeah,
and all that.
yeah.
So I'll be like, who is this one? Me, I did not apply there. So I would just ignore it. So
Mhm.
my question on that one is, how do I use those reports to ensure that my credit score is maintained?
Mm.
Yeah.
Good
Out-
question. Okay, yeah. Do you have
yeah,
another
it's
one?
three. Okay, so the other one is I always ensure that at the end of the month I pay up whatever I've used on my credit card.
Good.
I usually pay them in full.
Lovely.
But
Lovely.
I will still observe, like, okay, like this month now, I make sure that like you said, Credit Karma always send those emails and give me information that I should not exceed 25%.
Yeah, yeah,
Which I also try, although sometimes I exceed it.
yeah,
But
yeah.
at other times that I do not, I'll still see that my credit score comes down, and I'll be like,
Mm.
but what did
Yeah.
I do this time around? So I
Mm.
want to know what I can do when I've done everything I think I need to do, and it still comes down. Like, what
Yeah,
did I do wrong?
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
so
yeah.
I could maintain that.
Okay.
Then that one leads to the third question
Yeah.
on how I can maintain my credit score, because I'm always checking. When they send
Mm.
that email, I'll just go there, and I just want it to maintain that way. So
Yeah.
that's my question.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. So I'll take them one after the other. If I miss anything, please feel free to, if I don't answer the question, feel free to come back. Let me start with the last one. So maintaining your credit score. So you have done really well, Kike Lomobai. In fact, not very many people have this kind of education that you have, that they are signed on to Credit Karma. So that's really brilliant. I have to applaud you on that first. But that's the whole idea. You sign up to Credit Karma. It's to be able to maintain your credit score. Now, in answering that your third question, we'll jump onto the first question, and never ignore any report or any prompt that you are sent on any of your reporting agency, right? To say something has happened. Don't ever ignore it. Okay, because that's the whole idea. Let me liken it to this. So when you get those reports, it's like you have a ring doorbell in your house, and it is alerting you that somebody is entering your house. Do you ignore that? You don't. You're like, who is entering my house? And I'm not expecting anybody, because that's what that report is telling you. It's telling you that something has happened. Now, having said that, though, I need to add the caveat that sometimes it may not necessarily be alarming, but it's just for you to know the different alerts that you get on Credit Karma and know what they mean. Because I get alerts on Credit Karma. I use Halifax Bank, for instance, because that's where I had my children's accounts. When I sign on to my Halifax Bank sometimes, and I think Halifax is the bank that does that, because I have Halifax, I have HSBC, I have a couple of banks in High Street banks, right? Accounts in High Street Bank. But Halifax does this thing where it just sends me a random message and say, "Oh, your credit score has been updated." I never ignore it. As soon as I get that thing on, you think that I'm crazy. I will just go and check it to see if anything has happened, because that's a free. By the way, that Halifax one is another free tool that I get. So the rule of thumb is never you ignore those alerts when you are alerted by the credit referencing agency, because that's the whole idea behind maintaining your credit score. That's what they are doing. They are doing it for you. So they are telling you something has happened. Unless you understand really fully what they are alerting you about and you think is nothing for you to worry about, please don't ignore it. Having said that, though, the caveat I'm going to add is, for instance, if you drive a car, right, and you apply for a car insurance, right, this thing that we do where we pay for car insurance monthly. A lot of us don't know, but that's a form of credit that you have taken from that insurance company. So what the insurance company does when you go and compare the markets and you do those applications, the insurance company actually goes and credit checks you. But maybe you don't know that it's a credit check, right? And sometimes it's a soft check. Now, for those of us that don't know Martin Money Expert, please, we need to educate ourselves financially. Remember, I said as a community, we need to educate ourselves as people within this our Black community. Please, I will send the link for those of us that don't know it. Sign up to Martin Money Expert. It is a free website that educates you financially. He has a lot of education tools and things to educate you. So please, if you don't take anything away from tonight's session, take away the fact that I said go and look for MSc, Martin Savings Expert. It will blow your mind, the free education, financial education that you can get on that forum, right? If you go on Martin Money Expert sometimes, right, you can actually do a check to see your eligibility for card or for loan or for anything without it impacting your actual credit score. But what that search does, if you use Martin Savings Expert, is that it does a soft search on your report. So by soft search, it means it just gently taps on the door without doing a hard check. So say your score on experience is, let me do a little bit of show off. Say it's 999, like my one, for instance. If I decide to apply for car insurance and I decide to pay monthly, okay, compare the market to go and do, sorry, forgive me, I was just trying to be funny. I wasn't really bragging, but I just need to correct that. Compare the market will go and look at my credits, right? They'll go and do a soft search on my credits. So by such that if I go back to my Credit Karma report, it will show me that, oh, I've just had a search done. But because it's not really, they were just trying to check me out. By virtue of you filling those documents on the website on Compare the Market, for instance, you are giving them the go-ahead to, they're just checking me out. And for Martin's Money Expert as well, it will tell you to do it's a soft check. So when you hear about a soft check and a hard check, a soft check is that they're just checking you out without necessarily impacting your credit score. So what I was trying to explain is, so even though I would do that soft check, at the end of 2 months, at the end of the day, if I go back and check my score, it doesn't impact it. It still sits on that 999 because a soft check I've been done. However, if I decide to take it further and say, oh, I've searched for this credit card, I've searched for this personal loan, I've searched for this business loan on some occasions, right? And I want it, and I do the actual application, it then moves from a soft check to a hard check. So what happens is, an actual credit check is done on me at that point, and it will impact my credit score on experience. So experience, right? So there's no longer going to be 999, it will drop. Why? Because a search has been done. Which links to a point I raised on earlier and when I said, avoid having too many checks done on your credit. The rule of thumb is 1 in every 6 months. So say you get a phone contract, for instance, this month. The rule of thumb is please do not apply for any other credit until at least November this year, just to follow that rule of thumb. So these are little things that you need to know. So sometimes when Credit Karma, I didn't talk very much about Credit Karma. I use Experian because I have that Experian number. I know my score on Credit Karma as well. I think it's still excellent on Credit Karma as well. But Credit Karma, I think they go up to 710. So I think from 625 to 710 is excellent. From maybe 600 to 624 is good, like that. But it's the same principle, if you get what I mean. But again, like I said, Credit Karma has the advantage that it compares you across the 3 platforms, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. So you need to have a fair idea, Kike, right, of why you are being alerted that something has happened in your profile. If you don't, you need to check it out. And it's quite easy to use, right? I'm more than happy for you to give me a nudge if you want us to, again, it's personal to you, so I wouldn't nudge you to do it if you don't want to do it. But the only way I can begin to tell you specifics is if I'm looking at your credit score and I'm telling you, okay, I will show you, I'm quite familiar with Credit Karma because I use it a lot. I will show you this is what it says, this is where you should look at. And the beauty of Credit Karma is that it pinpoints and even tells you, oh, this is what you need to do to build your score. So I know you asked 3 questions. So I'm trying to answer question 3, jumped into question 1. And in terms of your credit card utilization, the reason why it will drop, it will not just drop unless something happens. So it will drop if you have done a search, a hard search like that. If you've applied for a credit without knowing, it will drop if you have missed the payment. So say you're supposed to pay your credit card by the 1st of the month, okay, and you pay on the 10th, maybe you're a couple of days late, that can impact you negatively. Then there was another question you asked now that I remember the answer now, it just jumped out of my head now. But the one about, so these things don't just happen unless something has happened. I think that's a way to put it. Also, if your credit card utilization goes above that 25%, right, your score will drop. So for those times that, and bear in mind, right, that the times also, I think maybe this will answer another question. The times of the month, you need to know your payment cycle. And that's something I wanted to touch on as well. You need to know your payment cycle. So say, for instance, you pay your credit card on the 1st. Maybe that's the date you have agreed to be paying. It's fine, you pay that on the 1st, right? But your credit cycle is not necessarily on the 1st. In fact, I learned this credit cycle for a lot of the credit cards I think I operate. I don't even bother with the credit cycle because most times I clear them off. However, if you meet, there's a, if you now let me put it this way, there's a way you can work within your credit cycle, right? That if you use your credit card, you will not be liable to any additional fee if you know how to work your credit cycle. But if you miss your cycle and it goes into the date where the interest must be generated, unfortunately, you have to pay the interest. But there's a way you can understand your cycle. So for instance, now I have Amex card, by the way, for those of us that Amex is a great card, and I'm happy to talk to those of us that is a great business card. I have it to my travel business, and I'll talk to, if you want it, please reach out to me. I'll tell you how to do it. You can use it. It's great for business. If it's like free money, they'll give you without interest if you know how to work it. My Amex card, for instance, I have a 50-day cycle where they just give you the money to spend. You don't pay interest. So it's like Amex will give you, say for instance, take my case where when I first got it, it's changed. Now when I first got it, that was when they gave me £15,000 for my business. So literally the Amex literally gave me, say, take £15,000, go and do business with it and pay us back within 50 days without any interest. Now to me, that is brilliant. That is great. Who will give you £15,000 where I come from to go and do business and bring it back within 50 days without paying without paying any interest? And again, just to say that even in the UK, there's no other card company that gives you such a wonderful length of time to take money. So for those of us that are business minded, we can talk. I'll just take it. I'm going to just, I know of somebody that took that money. He was able to pull together about 6 figures on Amex, and he went and just bought things, did his Amazon FBA, and he turned over that money within 30 days, and he brought it and paid Amex their money, and he had made profits. So those are the kind of things that we are talking, that we should be looking at how to build wealth with other people's money. Great strategy. So I know, for instance, that my Amex cycle date, right? So for every money I take on my Amex card, today is the 7th, right? For every money I take from Amex, say from Monday the 5th, through to, so this is May, through to June the 30th, right? As long as I have it within that cycle, for that 50 days cycle. So count 50 days from Monday for me now, because I know my next date that starts from the 5th rather. So from 5th, count 50 days and add it to 5th. So to the 55th day from the 5th of May. So that will be around 20-something of June. I can take that money, borrow that money from Amex, go and trade and do business with it. As long as I pay it back by day 49, I won't pay any interest. Brilliant free money to do business with. So it's to understand. So if you don't understand that your cycle, Kike, it might be that you have crossed this place where because you don't understand your billing cycle, that's the word. So you can literally call up your bank. These things I'm telling you, they are not rocket science. So you can call up your bank and ask them, please, what is my billing cycle in this my credit card? They will tell you. They don't hide it. However, it's not information that is available on public domain. But when you ask, they will tell you. So again, that's about financial literacy and literacy and financial education. Have I answered all your questions, Kike?
Yes, you have, but I want to clarify. Most times, say for example, now I'm using Capital One, and
Okay.
Capital One will say that your direct debit will be taken, say, on the 4th of June.
Yeah.
So I always think that, okay, if I pay the money before the 4th of June, then
Yeah.
I won't be, I will be safe, like save period, and it won't affect my credit. But I do that, and I still see that um it's, if I don't know, like something must have happened anyway. So I want to know, is that the save period? If I have that notice that this is when they will take it, and I'm able to pay before that time.
So remember, you are saying two things here now. When you pay by that date that they tell you, right, it means that you don't have a late payment.
Yeah.
Okay, so for that, you will not get any default. It will not impact your credit. But the other question is, have you used more than 25%? Because if you are
Sometimes.
used more than
Not all
25%,
the time. Yeah.
not all exactly. So for the days that you
Yeah.
have used, then the third thing is the cycle of report to, and that's the important one I've not said, I wanted to say earlier on. The cycle of reporting to this credit referencing agency, sometimes they overlap. So the day they are reporting you to the credit referencing agency, for instance, it may be the day that you have already used more than 30%. So they will report what they have seen. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah.
So it's just those little nuances.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in your own case, if you ask me, Kike, I will suggest that. But again, the question is, why are you borrowing? Remember, we are talking that we want to build wealth in our Black community. Part of building wealth is not very responsible for you to be borrowing for your everyday needs, for your consumer needs. Otherwise, what I wanted to say is that maybe you might need to get a second credit card, but I wouldn't advise you that, because that is not wise. It's not
Yeah.
wise because
For me, it's not for borrowing purpose. It's just to build the credit score. So what I do
exactly.
is, instead of using my debit card or my
Yeah,
cash to buy things, I just use it to buy whatever I need for
exactly.
the month,
Okay.
and I pay it
So,
back.
okay. So what you can do in your own case, because you're using a brilliant strategy, Kike. So what you can do is, because you know you have the money in your debit card, right? Mark it yourself. Tell yourself that, okay, if I buy all the things I'm buying from, in fact, my suggestion to you will be, speak to your bank and ask them that, please, can they give you a billing cycle? So when they give you a billing cycle, you will know the date that. So say for your billing cycle, for instance, remember that I told you about this 50 days free money that I have in Amex. It's because I understand the billing cycle. In the normal UK credit card, remember Amex is American Express. It's only America that will give you that kind of line of credit for free. So in the normal UK credit cycle, right, in all our Capital One, and I wonder why Capital One does that to us in the UK, because Capital One is the big bank in the US. They are a big financial institution in the US, and the only credit card they have in the UK is for credit building, and they mess us up with it. But that's just by the way. But what I'm saying is, make sure that you know your billing cycle, because if you know your billing cycle, you will know the days that you can pay the money you use on that card without incurring interest. Does that make sense?
Yes, it
Yeah,
does.
yeah. So ring up your bank and ask them what's your billing cycle. And also what you can do is, because you have the money in your account, right? Assuming you use the money today is the 7th, for instance, okay? You can pay back in another 7 days. Although I haven't said that your billing cycle might be within the 7 days that I've talked about, but the secret is to know your billing cycle. So ring up your bank and know your billing cycle.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Baby has a hand up, followed by Mina.
Okay. Yes, please. Next person, go ahead. Bev. Is it Bev?
Yeah. Hi, Brigitte. Yeah, that's a good session.
Thank you.
There's so much you're saying, which is very, very important in the what do you call it? With regarding maybe let's say the Black minority, the way we don't know how to use credit.
Yeah.
Which is very important. And I would say, yeah, credit starts from when you have, when you have a child, when you have a child, and the moment they start collecting change in the house, that's when I think you got to, as a
Educating. Yeah.
parent, you
Yeah.
need to
Yeah.
open an account for them. You open an account for them, and then when you open an account for them, what they give them is they give them like a little piggy bank for them to put their money. And that is the way I sort of brought up my kids. When you start putting the money in the pot and it's full, I take them to the bank. Okay, when you go to the bank, you tell them you want to put the money in your account. You start teaching them the value of money.
Yeah.
So by the time the child starts growing, they know credit. And you were talking about credit in the UK. Credit in the UK, it's very, very important. You can you want to go to a bank and say you want to buy a house, and they look at your credit file, and then they give you a credit to buy the mortgage, and then a couple of years you're going to pay the mortgage or something away. And you know what? There's something called child tax credit in this country. I think anybody who has a child in this country, they get child tax credit.
Yeah.
And what can the parents, what can we do with that child tax credit? I think they give, maybe £70, £60 or whatever. When you put that money in an account, like you were talking about the something box, yeah?
Yeah, lockbox.
Yeah. When you put that money in the account, that money is getting interest. That interest, if some parents don't know, you can use that interest to buy a house for that child as a deposit. So that house becomes that's how the Indians buy houses.
Yeah,
Indians have got.
Thank you. I didn't want to say that. Yeah, thank you for calling that out.
You know, with these Indians, by the age of 17, the child has got a house. And if you ask the child, the parents bought their house for the child, and they are renting their house for that child. So the child is already getting the child has already got a house at the age of 17. And that money that they're getting on that mortgage, you don't have to buy it, what do you call it, repayment. You pay interest on that house, and you take that money from that interest and you buy another house. And that other house, it buys another house. So you can be in your own house, you never pay for that house. It's the interest from the other houses, and you live in your house for free.
Baby, you are taking us to another level. Maybe we'll have you on this session. This one you are going.
No, we're talking about
in depth.
No. But that's what her credit. That's what she's saying about credit. The credit with credit card. I was listening to about credit card. Credit card is very important. By what Brigitte is saying, because credit card, when you buy it, every one of you guys, you've got the mobile app. When you use the credit card, you could just from your mobile app, you can just pay the credit. And most credit cards, it gives you your credit scoring anyway, and you can monitor your credit. If I'm right, Brigitte can tell you.
Yeah, you're very correct, Bev. I think what Tolu is trying to say is Tolu maybe wants you to be a co-facilitator with me because you have so much knowledge in this matter. Yes, no. It's a good thing. Yeah, so you have a lot of knowledge about it as well, and so yeah, well done to you as well. You know quite a few things.
Okay.
Bev, are you still there?
Thanks so much. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Bev is still speaking. Sorry.
Is she still speaking? Bev, are you still speaking?
No, I'm done.
Okay, thank you. No, but that's really good. Bev just threw a lot more light on some things. I mean, I was even avoiding to mention those things she said about Indians because you'll be surprised. That's why I just said it very subtly. I said some other minority groups, they will, anyway, don't let us go there. But we need to do better within ourselves. I think that's what we are trying. That's part of what we are doing here. It's not just enough for us to go and get all the big IT jobs and then squander the money and not have enough financial literacy and education to be able to build wealth, right? By having messy credit history and things like that. So that's what we are trying to be. We are trying to empower ourselves in a way. Remember what I said about the Nigerian Igbo people that do that boy where you will learn. It's a sort of informal education. We are educating ourselves within our communities to say we can do better, we can do more. There's so much we can get, right? We can harness these credits and be able to do things. Okay. Thank you very much, Bev, for that. Mina.
Yeah, Brigitte, thanks so much for doing this. This is a little bit out of IT, but it's very important in our lives,
Absolutely,
especially.
yeah. Yeah.
These days, money is hard to come by. So putting pennies away and making things right is good. But I raised my hand just to now I've forgotten the word you used, but you asked Kike to call the bank and ask for something. Now it's gone off my head.
Oh, to ask for a billing cycle.
Her billing cycle, yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know much about the billing cycle, my billing cycle, but I know some credit cards will tell you when your credit cycle is ending and when the payment needs to go in
Yeah.
before you get interest on. So for instance, I use Monzo credit card and it's really helping because I know if I pay it before 24th of each month, then I don't go into any interest agreement with them or anything.
Okay, good, good,
And they
good, good,
they
good.
tell you also when you've spent up to 24th, any extra. So even if I've spent £300 within a month, Monzo Flex will not take all the £300 because the excess was over my billing cycle. So it goes into the next billing date. So I would suggest that for people if anybody, and it's easy to get it as well. If you have a Monzo account, I guess most people do anyways. Just
Okay. So
apply for their
is
Monzo
Monzo
Flex.
Flex, is it a kind of credit card?
That's their credit card.
Oh,
Yeah,
good,
yeah.
lovely,
Like
lovely.
like we have Barclay card, they have Monzo Flex.
Okay,
Um,
good.
I was a mess with my credit card. I use Barclays card, but yeah, if I tell you what I do with that money, you'll be upset. But that doesn't mean I don't do well in my finances. But yeah, and not for people to also beat themselves over it because everybody's situation is different. People have a lot going on, and people are in circumstances where they cannot do more. It took me a couple of years before I could even, apply for a loan. Every circumstance is different. You need to reach some level of citizenship before you can apply for mortgage. Sorry,
Yeah,
going
yeah.
into the mortgage ladder. So don't beat yourself up and so I don't have this, I don't
Yeah,
have.
yeah.
This session is to help us all grow and learn from where we are not doing very
Exactly.
well.
That's it. Yeah, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
don't tell this person that we know we do comparison a lot, and
Exactly.
sometimes
Yes, yes, yes.
we overlook where we come from. Some of us we don't have any parents leaving things. We are struggling for ourselves and trying to make um something out of our lives for our children. Some people that we might compare ourselves to, the Indians, they've been in this country decades and decades. I remember my mom worked with an Indian lady who told her that they were transported from, is it Uganda or this country that they were driven away from? I think it's Uganda. They were transported from Uganda straight to UK, given houses free of charge and things like that. So they built their life out of something. I must say, not all of them. Some are also struggling. But I think we tend to compare, which is good, but people beat themselves up over things like this as well. So just a quick advice I'm saying that whatever Brigitte is telling us now
Thank you so
is not
much
to
for
put
that, Nina.
anybody down.
That is such a brilliant perspective that you have. But thank you for calling that out. It's very important
Yeah.
that we have that balance because,
Yeah.
and just
Some
the way
people have
God, if you look at
families
your
at home, you
fingers,
have to send money back, you have to
yes,
do
yes,
this, build houses
yes,
for your
yes.
parents, but make sure you don't go and build mansions in Africa when you only go once a year. That one, me and my husband, we advise people over that, but
Yeah.
don't beat yourself up. Take it
But
gradually.
I'm glad you're saying this, Mina. Also, in fact, those are some of the things that we need to start educating ourselves within our community as well, because we need to have the right balance as well. I 100% agree with you that comparison, please, you can compare, but let it be within a healthy confine, within a
A
healthy
positive
boundary.
comparison.
Yes,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
avoid that kind of
Yeah,
unhealthy
because the
comparison that
minute,
would.
Bridget, one thing I know about finances, because I can be a mess sometimes and then I come back on track. The worst thing is to worry too much about your money. You will go down low.
Yeah,
Let it flow. Just make sure you are doing your savings. And if you're a credit card person like me, contact Bridget and learn more how to pay off. This Monzo Flex really helped. Now, I don't use my Barclays card. I'm trying to pay off the little that is there already. So it's a process. Let's let. I've always wanted to buy a home, but I couldn't because my circumstance earlier days in my journey into UK was different. I couldn't. I would call people, talk to them about it, and sometimes they tell me how much I need to be earning per annum before I can even climb the ladder, it discourages me. But when the right time came, even though we are not there yet, when the right time came and when the right time comes, we'll move up the ladder. So it's slowly, gradually. Meeting.
Thank you, Mina. Thank you for that perspective. Thank you very much for sharing.
Yeah, so yeah, thank you so much. Mozo Flex is good. Everyone can, check. And I'm interested in the American Express one because I do travel a lot. So
okay, so we need to
like
talk. Then
reach
out to me, Mina. Send me a DM.
Yeah, and I like free money.
Oh yes, absolutely. Who doesn't? Yeah. Reach out to me and send me a message. Yeah. Any other question? I think that's the last one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, looks like no.
So thank you very much, everyone, and thanks once again, Tolu, for the platform